Hi there, my name's Andy Flannagan, one of the directors of Christians in Politics, and we've just finished a day called Show Up North, when folks from right across the political and theological spectrum came together to support one another in their shared passion to see politics transformed. We're just 5 days now from the US elections, and we've seen the fragmentation of what's happened over there and the fragmentation that's come here through Brexit. And it was amazing to see people come together, that even in that context, people could find ways to disagree well, come together and encourage one another. I wrote just a couple of days after Brexit that there are going to be many fine words about coming together and, all coming together for the greater good and for the national good. And we're starting to hear those sort of words being spoken in America at the minute as well. I think my challenge to folks who are listening to this is, how can we really come together if we never meet? The beautiful thing about today is that the folks who are coming together are building relationships. They're not just saying things more politely to one another. They're not just sort of avoiding each other. They're actually intentionally building relationships with people that they don't agree with on everything. It's been my privilege over the last year to work with folks both in the church and in politics who are intentionally moving into really tough estates, who are intentionally living lives, rubbing shoulders with those often on the other side of the cultural chasm that was exposed in the UK through the Brexit vote, and the cultural chasm that we're seeing in the States now. If we're not careful, a bifurcation is going to happen and we will end up with two separate nations. And we need people who will step across, not just stand in the gap, but actively step across the gap. And I am proud of my friends involved in politics who, even before the Brexit vote, were knocking doors, and they're the only ones actually who were hearing the reality of what people felt and thought, in a way that those who were just operating on social media really weren't, because they were just hearing from people who are mostly like them. Politics provides the opportunity to get out and about into communities that you might not necessarily otherwise spend time in, and get to know people, hear their stories, listen, hear the pain, hear the struggles, and actually find ways to do something about it. To make sure that it doesn't just become a rage and an anger that ends up being misdirected. Similarly, there are stories all across the UK of the church stepping forward to be that connecting point where people are meeting people that they don't necessarily agree with. Stepping into communities, incredible work, whether it's with mums and toddlers and food banks, or whether it's working with excluded young people, people meeting and rubbing shoulders with people that they wouldn't necessarily naturally do. I think our challenge in the UK in the next decade is to look towards integration, rather than that differentiation that's happening through the internet. We need to get offline and get into our communities, to the breadth of our communities, not just the bits that we like. Could we be the harbingers of integration in the UK? I've seen that happen today at this Christians in Politics gathering. I wonder if you'd like to get on board with that journey too. Come and join us. www.christiansinpolitics.org.uk